Hi, my name is Bridget McGrath. Sorry. Hi, my name is Bridget McGrath. I'm in Dr. Coleman's nutritional neuroscience class in the winter of 2025, and my project was on the neuroprotective effects of coffee. So, about me, really quick, I'm a neuroscience and biology major with a pre-health minor, and I'm on the NSU track and cross country teams. I chose this topic because I love drinking coffee. I have like 1 or 2 cups a day, and I wanted to research its potential benefits. So the first study I picked was titled Neurophysiological Effects in Whole Coffee Cherry Extract, which is an ingredient which is found in coffee beans, in older adults with subjective cognitive impairment. And this study was randomized, double-blind, it was placebo-controlled, and a crossover pilot study. So it included only 8 participants, but it was very controlled, and it was a within subjects design, so it was very accurate. So they took an MRI and a blood sample of each of the subjects before, 90 minutes after, and 72 hours after. They took either WCCE or a placebo. And they were also asked to complete 2 tasks, the first of which being a go/no-go task, which assessed the inhibitory response. And they were asked to like press a button. Um, and the NBAC ta task, which assessed their cognitive function. And they were asked if the current stimulus they were receiving is the same as the previous one that they had just received. So the main finding of the study was they found increased amounts of brain-derived neurotropic factor, and there were neurophysiological changes that lined up with behavioral improvements in the participants, or subjects, I should say. I included a photo that was in the article, where you can see that the subjects that took the WCCE, or I guess they gave it a different name here, um, they had increased connectivity between the anterior cingulate cortex, the paracingulate, the precuneus, and portions of the superior frontal gyrus. And with the placebo, they did have some increased connectivity, but not nearly as much as with the WCCE. Second study I picked was titled Neuroprotective Effect of Green and Roasted Coffee Bean Extracts on Cerebral Ischemia-Induced Injury in Rats. So in this study, there were 80 rats, and they were randomly divided into 5 groups. A control group, a sham group, an IR group, a GCBE group that took the green coffee bean extract, and an RCBE group that took the roasted coffee bean extract. The rats were given a cerebral ischemia by a bilateral common carotid occlusion, artery occlusion. Um, and so the rats either took no caffeine, or they took the green coffee bean extract or the roasted coffee bean extract. And there was also a control and a sham group. So it was found that taking the coffee extracts, decreased the infarct size and enhanced anti-apoptotic protein, which decreases cell death, and inhibited oxidative stress. I included a picture from this article as well. And you can see here in the middle group how the rats that took coffee, they align even closer to the control group, meaning that the damage to the cortical on top, the striatal in the middle, and the hippocampal on the bottom regions of the brain was alleviated by taking caffeine, which is very cool. The final article I chose was titled Caffeine Neuroprotective Effects of 6-OHDA lesion rats are mediated by several factors, including pro-inflammatory cytokines and histone deacetylase inhibitions. So once again, there were mice that were divided into different groups. There was a sham group that took caffeine, a 6-OHDA group that didn't take any caffeine, a 6-OHDA group that took caffeine 10, and a 6-OHDA group that took caffeine 20. So the rats had a hole drilled into their skull over their right striatum, and 6 micrograms of 6-OHDA was injected over, like through this hole to the right striatum. And the sham group received saline, so there was no damage to the area. And they were asked to complete like behavioral tests, and then the brains were examined afterwards. And it was found that caffeine may be neuroprotective in Parkinson's disease, as MPTP neurotoxicity to dopaminergic neurons was reduced by caffeine. And the striatum is the dopaminergic neurons in the striatum are greatly affected during Parkinson's disease, as is part of the basal ganglia, which is responsible for like locomotion. And obviously, Parkinson's has a great effect on locomotion. So I included here some more results from the article. They did a locomotion test on the rats, and you can see in this top right corner that the rats who took no caffeine but had the 6-OHDA poured over their striatum performed very poorly and only had 5 crossings over the course of 5 minutes, which is very low. And then on the left, you can see the sham group had about 12, so nearly double. I believe there was a 70% decrease, so more than double. And you can see here on the right that the 2 groups of rats that had the OHDA injected over their striatum, they performed almost even better than the sham group did. So the caffeine like completely reversed these effects, especially with caffeine 20, which is a greater concentration of caffeine. And here on the bottom, you can see CA1 and CA3, which are both hippocampal subfields, and then the striatum. And you can see that in the middle here, this is the when they just had the OHDA with no caffeine. And over here, after taking caffeine, it looks almost completely restored. It looks almost exactly like the sham group, where there was no damage done whatsoever. It looks almost even there even are more viable neurons, as these are all neurons in here, and you can see that there's like hardly any in the middle. But over here, they're almost completely restored, which I find very interesting. So, in conclusion, coffee in moderation has proven to be very beneficial to us and our brains. It has neuroprotective benefits, potentially protecting us from Parkinson's disease and helping us recover from strokes. It can also help with our cognitive function and brain connectivity. So, in the end, keep drinking coffee in moderation. I know there's kind of a negative stigma, at least from what I've heard, which is true if you're having too much of it, or if you're like me and you put a whole bunch of sugar in your coffee. But as long as you have it in moderation, it's great for you, as we just discussed. So the recommended daily allowance is 300 to 400 milligrams a day, which is roughly 3 to 4 cups of coffee. And I included a picture of the coffee that I had this morning. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.